What's going on, y'all? You're back. I'm your host, Paco, and you're listening to Occupy the Media. I hope you enjoyed that last interview with Ron Paul. You could check that out on Ron Paul Podcast. I don't think anyone's put it up on YouTube yet. I didn't see it. That's why I played it. Ron Paul on Philadelphia's Talk Radio 1210 WPHT, April 24th. That's on Ron Paul 2012 Podcast. You can Google that and check that full interview if you want. And before that, we were talking about headlines I want to jump into here before we get to the end of the show. So we were talking about the journalist who was filming Occupy Miami and the police there, I guess, arresting some folks. And he was wondering why he got pointed out. Wasn't even doing anything, got arrested. Turns out that the police has been watching his Facebook. They've been all over it. They've been tracking him. Spying on him. It says here, through the public records request, Miller was able to obtain a treasure trove of correspondence that in many instances included his name. One such account was an email communique that was issued by the Miami-Dade Police Homeland Security Bureau this past January, only 11 hours before law enforcement raided the city's Occupy encampment and arrested Mr. Miller yet again. In that email, authorities described Carlos Miller as a freelance journalist and ergo a terrorist in the making. Over the weekend, the reporter recounted in a blog post published to PIXIQ.com the events that landed him behind bars during the most recent instance. Also included in the post were the contents of the email that he suggests pegged him as a criminal with a camera. Quote, Carlos Miller is a Miami multimedia journalist who has been arrested twice for taking pictures of law enforcement. He has publicly posted on social networks that he will be taking pictures today in order to document the eviction, reads the bulletin. Along with that warning was a photo of Miller lifted from his Facebook profile. On his own part, Miller says he has no concern with law enforcement circulating photos from his social networking page and acknowledges that he is aware that his profile is viewable to the public. Of concern, however, is how later that day a recipient of that email singled out Miller after he documented the Occupy eviction and issued. Major Nancy Perez was photographed by Miller shortly before she arrested him on January 2nd. The charges, as he blogged in, were for obstruction of justice and resisting arrest without violence, despite the police report revealing that he was taken into custody without incident. To Miller, though, he can't help but wonder why he was singled out among a pool of reporters. Was it connected with emails sent only hours earlier? You bet it was. Quote, I find it very troubling that a unit formed to deal with terrorist activities found it necessary to send out an email advising other departments and law enforcement officers that a journalist would be covering a newsworthy matter of public concern. Mickey of the National Press Photographers Association tells Miller. It didn't end there. When Miller first posted a photo of Major Perez on his blog, emails since uncovered reveal that the officer took to the Department of Homeland Security to further complain about Miller. When the DHS responded, they advised her to see if it was legal for Miller to post her photo. It was. From there, the surveillance continued on behalf of both the Miami Police and the Department of Homeland Security. Quote, have you seen this article? It was posted last night at 9:40 p.m. Carlos Miller is on his high horse again. Begins another email sent from the Homeland Security Bureau and revealed in the public records request. So, I mean, they are all over this dude. They are watching everything he does. It says, let's see, another one. Carlos Miller stated he intends to attend the RNC in Tampa August 27th to the 30th to record and document the event. Reads another email uncovered, which discusses the journalist's plans to attend this summer's Republican National Convention. Quote, proper notifications will be made for situational awareness purposes. Yes, it's crazy, man. They're definitely watching you. And imagine if he's part of Occupy. If they're watching him, they're definitely watching us Ron Paul supporters. They got our names. They got our Facebooks, our tweets. They have it all. So you might as well just pretend that you're being watched. But what I say is, man, we got to turn it around on them, and we're watching them. As you know, we keep showing them that we're not scared, no fear. We keep posting up the articles about our freedoms being taken away, what's going on, the bills that are being passed. Pretty much we're watching them. Pretty much we got an eye on them, and they know that. And that's why they want to try to get an eye on us and spy on us first and have the upper hand advantage. But the people are waking up, and it's up to us to decide if enough of us are going to wake up. You know, they can't spy on everyone. They can't watch everyone. They can't get people to spy on themselves. So, what's going to happen? It's going to be some type of clash, some sort, if we don't have Ron Paul in office. Another article I came across, real crazy. Rural kids, parents angry about Labor Department rule banning farm chores. So now if you're a kid, you're not able to work on a farm now, coming from the Labor Department. Let's see, a proposal from the Obama administration to prevent children from doing farm chores has drawn plenty of criticism from rural district members of Congress. The Department of Labor is poised to put the finishing touches on a rule that would apply child labor laws to children working on family farms, prohibiting them from performing a list of jobs on their own family's land. Under the rules, children under 18 could no longer work in the storing, marketing, and transporting of farm product raw materials. Prohibited places of employment, a department press release read, would include country grain elevators, grain bins, silos, feedlots, stockyards, livestock exchanges, and livestock auctions. The new regulations, first proposed August 31st by Labor Secretary Hilda Solis, would also revoke the government's approval of safety training and certification taught by independent groups like 4-H and FFA, replacing them instead with a 90-hour federal government training course. Rosie Blinson, a 21-year-old college student from Booze Creek, North Carolina, told the Daily Caller that the federal government's plan will do far more harm than good. The main concern I have is that it would prevent kids from doing 4-H and FFA projects if they're not at their parents' house, said Blinson. I started showing sheep when I was 4 years old. I started with cattle around at 8. It's been very important. I learned a lot of responsibility being a farm kid. And what would be more of a blow, he said, is not teaching our kids the values of working on a farm, losing that work ethic. It's hard to pick this up later in life. John Weber, 19, understands this. The Minneapolis native grew up in suburbia and learned that livestock business working summers on his relative's farm. He's now a college agricultural major. I started working on my grandparents' and uncle's farms for a couple of weeks in the summer when I was 12, Weber told the DC. I started spending full summers there when I was 13. So, it's just like when it comes to raw milk. You can't have raw milk because supposedly it's dangerous, but people have been doing it for generations and years. And same thing with this. Kids working on the farms have been doing it for generations and years. And so the government's trying to protect us from us, and they can't. And really, it's not to protect us. It's all just to take away our rights. It's all to make it harder for us to survive and harder for us to get by. And people can't understand how that's purposely done or why that's being purposely done. But governments don't like freedom. Okay, because the less freedom that we have, the more power they have, the more things they can get. The more money is irrelevant to them, So there can't be a bunch of prosperous people and also prosperous people that are actually good people that care and want this country to be better. And maybe people that will run for office one day or, take up high positions with a conscience. Instead of now we have all these people getting in government, getting involved, people in the banking system, and, they have no integrity. They have no heart. They don't care. I remember when I was working for Bank of America, a lot of people I work with, a lot of us didn't care, but I would say a good amount of us did, but a lot of us didn't think we were doing the wrong thing, talking about spying on people. At Bank of America, we could find whoever. We could find your mom, your dad, where you work, who you wrote a check to. I could find, and that was my job. I was the best at it. I was the one they called to get on the phone to come find you. So government spying on you, the bank spying you, they know how to find you, ripping up your social security number, all that stuff is a joke. It ain't going to do nothing. Your info is out there. So remember, your Facebook's being watched, Twitter's being watched. Well, we're watching them. Remember that. We are watching them too. Okay, so I'm Paco, your host. We are coming up to the end of the show. You guys can check me out again at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on RonPaulRadio.com. Again, don't forget to donate to RonPaul2012.com if you haven't. And, so I'm on from 10 a.m. till noon every morning, Monday through Friday. You can check me out on Facebook, Paco Elijah, YouTube, Paco757, and on Twitter, Occupy the MSM. And if you're in Los Angeles area, Pasadena,